Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Vanessa Dunn, Guyton, and I am the proud founder and executive director of Hush No More. Hush No More supports survivors when they're ready to come forward, to share their story, to have somebody to listen to, or to get resources. We also provide training in our communities on what we call the hush topics: sexual assault, domestic violence, human trafficking, child sexual abuse, incest, all of those topics that our families, communities, and organizations have a hard time discussing. We tackle them. And so I'm really excited tonight that you were able to join us on Hush No More Champions. Here you are going to meet some fantastic survivors, advocates, nonprofit organizations that are doing some amazing things in our community and help us bring awareness. I think that awareness plus knowledge equals prevention. It is important that you know what's going on. Today, we're going to talk about molestation, child sexual abuse. A lot of people do not realize that 1 in 10 children are abused sexually before the age of 18. This is something that is serious. It is happening. It has been happening for years. So, how can we become informed? How can we protect our children, our grandchildren, our nieces and nephews? How can we protect them? And so, we're going to have a great conversation tonight of what happens once you're abused and you are a survivor, and how do you become a champion? So, I am so excited because I have a great guest for you all tonight. But before I bring him on, I want to show you an introduction video.
Hey, I'm getting inducted into the New York Boxing Hall of Fame. All the hard work paid off. All the punches that I got, all the punches that I gave, it was all worth it.
So we're finally here at Russo's on the Bay after the long-awaited hours of Zab. Felt like hours to me. But listen, we here, we about to have some food, some drinks, and we about to kill it.
Let's hear for Monte, Barrett.
I have so much history in this room, right?
Y'all ever test something and it don't work when you get ready to do it? So I'm finna show it again.
All the punches that I got, all the punches that I gave, it was all worth it.
So we're finally here at Russo's on the Bay after the long-awaited hours of Zab. Felt like hours to me. But listen, we here, we about to have some food, some drinks, and we about to kill it.
Let's hear for Monte, Barrett.
I have so much history in this room, right? So I have to start with, and you guys need to bear with me. Listen, 18 years is a long time for me. I got selective memory, right? But listen, check this out. This is an amazing experience and accomplishment. And I have to think, Abraham Davis, Pops, he died in 2017. He was 102. Abraham, they call him Pops, Al Davis. I have to thank Jimmy Glenn, who's a father. Life is a delicate negotiation. So now look what I've negotiated. I'm the Hall of Fame.
I would like to introduce to you the former heavyweight boxing champion and Hall of Fame inductee 2019, Monte Barrett. Thank you, Monte, for joining us. I'm so excited that you're here.
Thank you, Vanessa. I appreciate you.
You know, I've been waiting to interview you since I met you at my mom's house.
Right.
It's amazing. And you never know where God is going to take you and who you're going to meet and who have the most amazing stories. And you fall right in line with Hush No More Champions and the idea of being a survivor and turning into a champion. So I thank you for that. And I just want to know, what is it that you're doing now? Tell us about Monte Barrett.
Well, yes. So my wife and my daughter, we moved to Columbia, South Carolina, where her family is from originally, and we wanted to have a better support system with our daughter Gabrielle. And because we was living in East Rutherford for many years, and we was about to purchase a home, so I said to my wife one day, "Let's move out to South Carolina." And she fights me on everything, but she didn't fight on that one. And she was like, "Bet, let's do it." So we came out here, and God has just been opening up doors and answering prayers, and so many great things happen. I'm also a part of an amazing experience called Champs Camp and House of Champions, which is a recovery center for non-for-profit and profit, and also for the veterans. So we're working towards that. Also, I have another organization called Champs Camp 2, which is a studio gym for the trained just people who want to work out with the champ. And right now, I'm closing on a place in Sumter, downtown in the city, and it's underneath the USC campus. It's like 800 students on top. So I'm looking forward to that part of my life where I can start, giving some instructions and showing people how to defend themselves and showing people how to carry about and have some, normalcy. Because in this world, as you know, it's very violent. And, people like when we grew up in the 70s, we had a chance to fight each other and then be friends the next day.
Right.
Right. It was normal, right? We got beat by our neighbors and everything, but it was normal because it took a village to raise a kid, and now it's a little different, but, so we want to, whatever I can do to make Columbia my a better community while I'm here, I'm looking forward to it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. It's- now I got a cough when I come on the show.
Don't worry about it. That water always do it to you.
Excuse me.
It's the water. It's the water.
It's the
You
water.
make,
I don't
you,
like water. I
yeah, you
don't
making
like
me thirsty too.
it.
But
All
I
right,
don't
let
mind.
me get my life together. Let me get this interview together, get my voice together. So, why is it like the Champs Kids? Why is this like a big thing for you?
Say that one more time.
Why is the Champ Kids such a
Yeah.
big thing for you?
Well, it's like, so what I did was I was thinking of when I came down here, I got with some amazing people that are from Colombia, and they really showed me how to, make a difference. I came up with an idea before I came to Colombia, and they turned it into life. It's like it's no I in team. You know, I had the idea, I had the vision, I told them what I want to do, and they're making it come true. So the Champs Camp is for people who are struggling. In my life, my past life, my mother was on drugs, and half of my family was on drugs. The other half was in church. You know, so you know how it is. So I wanted to do something where I can make a difference in this community. So that's what the Champs Camp. So the Champs Camp is coming from a holistic standpoint, but more from a fitness training aspect is the lead. So I will be in there training the and we're not calling them addicts. We're calling them contenders and journeymen. And then when you finish an 8 to 12 week program, you become the champion, and you get a championship belt.
Okay.
So you have something to hold on to, and then you get a chance to go to fights and sporting events with us, with all my celebrity sport events friends, like Willie Gold, John Starks, and the list goes on. Brandon Jacobs, and then that will be a part of your recovery reward, staying clean. So they're coming as a journeyman, because in boxing you become a journeyman until you become a contender, and then after a contender you go to champion. So that's the concept.
I love it because you're a winner no matter what level you are, but we grow. So it looks to
Mhm.
me that this is like a growth process. We can
Right.
see how you're growing, how you get to the next level. And
Hmm.
I'm always one of those people that say how I can help you, whatever you need, because I believe that we are champions.
Right.
That's where we should be at. We start at a certain level and then we get there. For
Right.
you, tell us a little bit about how you grew up. Tell us about your beginning life before boxing.
Well, before boxing, I grew up a pretty balanced kid. So the best thing that ever happened to me, I always like to start the best thing first. My mother, she had me when she was 16, and when I was 1 years old, she shipped me. Her and I moved to New York from Greenville, North Carolina. I think back then the population was 50,000, right? We moved there. My mother was young, and but every year from the age of 5 until the age of, I think, 16 or 17, she sent me down south with my grandparents. And sending me down south with my grandparents gave me a lot of balance and a lot of insight and a different outlook on life. So my grandparents, they was older, so it was church on Sunday with the Elks Club, Saturday Elks Club, Sunday church, Monday through Friday it was the Boys and Girls Club. I got a chance to be a kid. I didn't grow up too fast. But when I went home, on the other hand, it was different. You know, I was being molested by my cousin on a frequent basis at 5 years old until about 8 years old. And I was violent. I mean, my mother never protected me. My aunts they never whipped their own kids, but they whipped me because they was taking their anger out on me. And that's how I felt, because I used to see my cousin sitting there and I'm getting the beatings. But I get it and then the whole thing about it, my cousin who did this to me, she wasn't even my blood cousin. She was my stepfather, or the man who proceeded to be my stepfather, because him and my mother never got married. That was my mother's first boyfriend when she moved to New York. And, he was very abusive to her and I, and we was on the run a lot, you know. But the flip side is that in the 70s, a lot of people don't know, it was a lot of domestic violence abuse, right? We seen it all the time, and it was like a hush hush thing. But I became a part of that. Even though I was a victim, as I got older, I became violent towards women, you know? And I never really identified with it until I got older and I started doing therapy and counseling. I realized that, wow, everything that I didn't want to be with my stepfather and my mother and all the other people around me, I became. And then I was selling drugs at 11 years old. I was in a crack house selling drugs at 11 years old, fifth grade, you know, and I did that all the way until I got to high school. And then when I got in college, I even sold drugs in college. And then when I started boxing, my life just changed, you know. And I was very fortunate not never to get arrested. And I also had my own business at the age of 21. So even though I did those things, I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I wasn't making no Nicky Barnes money. I'll call it sneaker money. You know, $1,000 a week is a lot of money for a 12-year-old or a 16-year-old, you know. So, but the whole thing about it was that my mother, you know, she has to if I look at her, I can't really, it's hard to blame her because she didn't have the support. She was out of 9 kids, 8 or 9 kids, and she was like the second to last. And she'd been through a lot of trauma in her life. So how can she tell me anything? You know, when I started making money, I made my first $1 million in 1998. I went to my mother and my wife at the time. I said, "Here, I got a couple 100,000. What do you want to do?" They said, "Whatever you want to do with it." You know, so they was limited, and not just limited financially, but limited in information. So my mother, she couldn't protect me because she never was protected. And it's sad. Like I love my mother to death, but the worst thing I had to ever do was disconnect from my mom's. And I'm in love with my mom's, but I know that she's no good for me, you know. And um, so that part right there, and I had to make some changes for myself to be a better person because I have 6 daughters, and you reap what you sow. Karma, it doesn't discriminate. So I have kids to go through stuff and domestic stuff, and I have to kind of be supportive there for them and try to be I really try to be the supportive father that they need, and not somebody that criticizes and who's critical with them.
I love it. You had a very difficult life. And I just have some questions for you because I think that other people have some questions. And so I wanted to just address them. For you being abused, did you ever tell anybody what was going on between you and your cousin?
Well, I did an article in Deadspin last year, and I had a friend named Craig who's my best friend, and the reporter asked him, "Did Monte ever tell you about his abuse?" And his answer was, "Where we come from, the age we've come up is shut your mouth, don't say nothing. You keep quiet." So like now, like this platform now, like if you look at my daughter, Gabrielle, she's 7, she would tell me anything, right? But back then it was hush hush. So a lot of people, I'm trying to explain, give you a clear view. It's like it's a family secret. Mind your business. Don't say nothing. And I honestly, I didn't realize it. I knew something deep within me. I just didn't know what it was. And one time in 2004 or 5, I was watching an Antoine Fisher story, the movie, And and when he was getting molested by his sister, his whatever, the sister, the adopted sister,
Mhm.
I just bust out crying like a big baby. And I was dating my girlfriend. I'm a boxer. I'm in prime time right now. I'm getting it. And she looked at me like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "Yo, I was molested." And I said, "Everything just came back like it happened yesterday."
Mhm.
And I was in chills. I was sweating. I was crazy. And I called my aunt Ruby, and I said, "Aunt Ruby," I said, when I was younger, Joyce molested me, her daughter." And she said, "What?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "She molested me for many years. She's my babysitter. We lived by right in your grandmother's house, behind your grandmother's your mother's house. She said, rape me there." My aunt started crying. She said, "Monte," she said, "I am so sorry that you had experienced that and Joyce did that to you." She said, "That's probably a reason she probably shot herself in the head with a shotgun." She said, "Not only the drugs, but the guilt, you know, because she wound up killing herself and shooting herself in the head with a shotgun many years later, you know. But she was my babysitter, and I was also, at her house, during the summers with my aunt."
Yeah. I tell people all the time that our males get abused. We have to look out for our boys as well. It's
Yeah.
not just our girls, it's also our boys. And do you think that anybody could have done anything to prevent that from happening to you? What do you think parents could have done?
I
Anything?
think that, in hindsight, my mother, she was the only one who could have protected me because it's just the way she brought me up. Just think of this. You're coming from a town of 30 to 50,000 people into the Big Apple. It's very intimidating. She's hustling, bustling. She's 16. The first man she meet off the bus is my stepfather, who's an abusive man. He used to beat the crap out of me and my mother. So the only person I think who could have saved me didn't know how to save me. So how could she save me when she was dealing with abuse? Like, my mother was very promiscuous. There used to be two, three guys coming in and out the house a week. I beat a couple of her boyfriends up as I got bigger, because when I got bigger, I was a different guy. I was involved in drugs. I had guns in the house. I was ruthless for a little kid. Even though I was well mannered because of my grandparents. I had that balance. Like, I had a great charm, but at the same time, when I went in, I went in. I had some legendary fights in my hood neighborhood, because back then it wasn't guns involved. It was just you fight and you're friends the next day. You know. So the person who could have saved me would have been my mother.
So I think it's important for parents to understand that this is definitely going on and that they have to pay attention to what's going on with their children. You can't just assume that they're safe, that the babysitter is safe, that the teacher, the coach, the priest, the pastor, that people are hurting our children. And
Well,
sometimes it's the young children as well.
the funny thing is that when I did the story and I put it on Facebook, you know, I had probably around 50 to 60 people. Some I knew that I grew up with from grade school, and some I didn't know. And one of my good friends, his name, I can't say his name, but he confided in me, and he said to me, he said, "Listen," he said, "the sixth grade, we had a teacher named Mr. Dees. He was gay, right?" He said Mr. Dees molested him all throughout the year in sixth grade. That could have been me. But they the when predators prey on, they prey on kids, vulnerable kids, right? They know who's the victim and who they can get away with, right? And Mr. Dees was a hands-on teacher. He used to beat us up when we got out of whack. Back then you can beat the teachers can beat you up and you won't get in trouble. He got his jobs. We used to go to his house. He was like a big uncle to us. But that could have been me. And I had so many friends, and that I know, at least 10 to 11 friends that I personally know, that women and men that told me that happened to them. One of the young ladies told me I gave her enough heart to write a letter to her uncle who took advantage of her at 5 years old. And he told her that was the best sex he ever had when she was 5 years old. And he was around 16, 17 then. So it's a lot of stuff that goes swept under the rug because of family. You don't want to just dishonor your family. But I'm learning in life that family it goes way beyond blood. It goes by loyalty and honor and respect. So that's what I'm learning every day.
It does, and I honor you in this moment for sharing your story. I honor you for
Thank
actually
you.
coming forward and saying I was molested too,
Mhm.
because people need to see that somebody else can come forward, that they have the strength to come forward. That is so important because people need to know they're not alone, right? If 20% of children before the age of 8 are molested, that's a lot of little kids that are being hurt and abused. And we have to come forward and do something, share our story if possible with the next person that's struggling, not necessarily on this large platform that you and I chose. And it's important. And for me, I always feel good, and it's crazy the way I feel when somebody say I suppressed it for all these years and then it
Mhm.
came back. Because people love to say, "How can you forget something that happened to you? How can you forget something horrific or like sexual assault or molestation or incest?" It's like you suppress it. You don't want to think about that. You move on from it, and so it's very common for survivors to say, "I did not remember." I suppressed it. And when it came back, it was like, whoa, it was a lot.
Yeah, well, Sugar Ray Leonard came out last year and said that he was molested, and that was big. But it really, I'm surprised. I felt like it was just swept under the rug. This is Sugar Ray Leonard. You know what I'm saying? He might not have the umph like he did, but he didn't. He came out and it was a small interview he did, and I agree 100% of what you said because I went when I think I was 19 years old. I went into the service. I was going to be a Marine, and I I got injured, and they told me that I dislocated my shoulder. They said, "Well, you can still finish, but you probably won't finish with the class because you have to go to therapy. You got to da 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 da." And I could have stayed and finished with the next class, or I said, so I told him, I said, I just wanted to go. I was homesick. My girlfriend was having a baby. We wound up getting married, but the whole thing was that I forgot all about that. Like I suppressed it. Like, I forgot all about it. And then one day I was watching something. I was like, wow. I said, I forgot all about it. I was in a boot camp in Paris Island for 21 days. You know what I'm saying? So you can suppress things because it's something that you detach from that either bothers you or it really hinders you as your spirit. And I think that for me, basically, it always existed, but who am I going to talk to? I'm Monte. I'm in the street. I'm selling drugs at 11 years old. I'm the guy who banging on everybody in the streets as far as fighting. Like, I ran a business, a construction business, getting people jobs. Who am I going to say, oh, by the way, I was molested when I was 5 years old, and I got molested for 3 years. Like, how can I be vulnerable and tell that to anybody? I can't say I can't. I just suppressed it. Who I'm gonna share it with?
Mhm.
My aunts was very mean to me. My cousins, my mother left me with my cousins, and my cousins who's older than me had me selling drugs for them. I'm 11 years old. What am I doing in the crack house selling crack? You know, and this is 80, 84, 85. So think about it.
I, I want to get the nerd in me is like screaming to come out. So I always talk about the limbic system because people need to know what's going on with them. So I explained the limbic system is the part of your brain that suppresses your memories. This is where it protects you. So when you're thinking about sexual assault and all this trauma, your body just goes crazy. Your blood pressure gets high. You're stressed out. Anxiety is popping at you, and so your brain has a way of suppressing this memory to say, hey, we got to let this go because this person is experiencing anxiety and stress and depression and all this. And
Right,
so our brain protects us.
right.
And I want people to understand that this is normal. So when you come forward and say, this happened to me, I didn't remember, it is very normal to experience this. And me and Monty both have experienced suppressed memories. So don't feel like you're alone. I think that's really important for people to understand, and that's just the nerdy side of me. 'Cause I
So
had to go and research it to figure out what happened. Like, how
so
can I forget something?
so basically, my stepfather, he passed away when I came here in February, and it was really chaotic because my sister, my sister and I was supposed to split the house. She didn't want to do it, so my mother could have been she could have, been a referee and figure things out. So my mother would just, she went back to her old habits. Like when I don't know if she's getting high now, but when she was getting high, she started really just, catering off some negative, nasty energy and saying things to me and my wife. And then at that point, she called my cousin, the one who raped me. It's her younger sister. She called her and said, "Oh, Monte is got this article out." I sent her the article, so I put the article out. And I didn't really say anything bad about my mother. What was the truth? Was she got high. My mother goes on Facebook and say, "Monte, you know you're lying. You know you never been molested. Why don't you tell all these people about all the people you killed?" What? She's gaslighting now, right? Now she's taking and like if you read the article, I never really say anything bad about my mother. You know what I'm saying? But the point of her saying, I never killed anybody. I, I I fought in the street. I did things I'm not proud of, but I never killed anybody. And like she would say mean things to me, like she told my ex girlfriend and my sister, I had a dream one of my kids died. I hope it's Monte. Like some of the stuff you say, and I have to be forgiving because I have a soft heart. That's installed for me, installed in me from my grandparents, right? They always treated me to be mannered, has a mannerism, respect your elders. So I always have I understand that people are going to be people, but that's still my mother. But at some point, I have to draw a line for my own safety and my own peace. And that's the most important part that people don't realize. If you don't have safety and you don't have peace within yourself, you can't move on. My wife can tell you, I'm a flight. Like she's a fight person, I'm a flight. When I feel like I'm getting overwhelmed, I just want to be out because I feel like let me get out. That's my protection. So
I love that you shared about your mom. And the reason being is because a lot of survivors talk about how their family treat them after disclosing. And it's one of the most horrific things. And to have to make the decision between your peace, your happiness, right, your sanity between your family is really hard to do. You have done that. And I think that's a great example for a lot of the survivors that follow us to see that sometimes you have to separate from your family and they're not going to support you, right? And be okay with that and still continue to heal.
right,
And I applaud you in that because it is truly important.
right.
I
Thank
have
you.
some comments for you. Ward said he applauds you, your bravery. He said, I applaud your bravery, man, and thanks for leading the kids.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tanika said, that's what family tells you to do when they know you have been molested, to keep it a secret, and that's wrong. We see that
Yes.
all the time. And thank you, Tanika. And she also wanted to thank you for sharing your story and said that you are truly a champion. And I totally agree.
I thank you. I think it's a champion in all of us
There's a
when you
champion
dig
in all
down
of
deep.
us. Yeah. And
That's
Tanika, she's been on the show. She's a survivor and she's definitely a champion too. So I thank her for always supporting and sharing her story.
yes. Yes,
Favorite
absolutely.
cousin said that this is an amazing story. I agree with you, cousin. Jasmine said 100. She rocking with you.
All right. All right.
And Janet said, Amen. She agrees
Amen.
with what you're saying. And I
Be in
agree.
agreement.
Yeah. So thank you, Janet. So you got some comments. You got people that's following you and a lot of survivors that are on listening. And I think that that's important.
Yeah.
How did you start boxing? How did you go from selling drugs to being a little baby gangster, right? At 11,
Yeah.
that's I call them baby gangsters that turn into
Yeah.
dope gangsters
And
and all of that. How did you get to boxing?
so I used to have these legendary fights in the street. So when I started boxing, people was like that's perfect for him, because I had a lot of frustration and anger. And I've been fighting that 5 year old kid since I've been that 5 year old kid has been showing up in me since I was since, even now. I'm not gonna act like he's gone because he's not, I still deal with issues as far as insecurity, as far as not feeling protected. I'm 50 years old and I still deal with those things. So how I started boxing was I was in college, I was playing football, Eddie Robinson at the time from Grambling University was going to give me a scholarship. I had East Carolina University, Southern Miss, and USC, and I think Rutgers. I had like 5, 6 letters from, and I was All American, All City, All Queens in John Adams High School. We won the city championship undefeated. So I was popping. I was like, all right, this is my ticket out of here. I'm gonna do this football stuff, and then I got into football, and they dropped the program at Westchester Community College, where I was going. And I was living off campus. Me and a few football buddies was renting a house, and I met this man named Pops, the old man. He passed away in 2017. His name was Abraham Davis. He was 102 when he passed away. He was born 1914. Oh, right. But he has so much wisdom, and he kind of took me on his road, on his wing, and he showed me his ropes. He showed me how to become a fighter. But he told me one day I was running and I did a backflip. He was like, boy, he said, I don't know if you can fight or take a punch, but you still got some good mechanics to be a good athlete. And he believed in me. I always was very confident about my who I am, and things just kind of took off. I fought in these tournaments, these amateur tournaments. I was winning everything. I wanted to be in Fighter of the Year in New York in 90, and I think that was in 95, 96. I was made to the Olympics at the Atlanta Olympics, and I lost in the Olympic trials. I turned pro in 96, and then 98, I signed my first 7-figure deal. But I fought HBO, Showtime, pay-per-view, ESPN, Fox Sports. I fought all over. I've been all around the country, 21 different countries. I've traveled a lot, met a lot of people. I've had such an amazing life. Like, if I was to drop dead right tomorrow, today, I have experienced a full life. I traveled the world before this COVID stuff happened. I'm grateful for that. And so boxing was like second nature for me. It was a part of me of, I already had the anger in me to fight, because you have to have something. So like, you have to have like a little monster in developing you. So I had that already. Then I had to be teachable, and I had that from my grandparents. I knew how to follow instructions from football, playing team sports. I ran track and played football in high school and college. So I had that. So I had the athleticism and I had the discipline. And now all I had to have somebody was believe in me to pour it into me and teach me. And that's where Pops came from. Him, Jimmy Glenn, they poured into me, and they taught me how to be a fighter. And when I was an amateur, I was 37-3 with 24 knockouts, 25 knockouts. I was really good as an amateur, and then life just took off and went in a whole different direction. And football wasn't even a thought no more.
How did you still go to school? So that's what I am impressed with, is the fact that your mom was on drugs. You didn't have as much supervision or guidance, but you were still going to school, right? And doing all the things that you could possibly do on the outside, and then you get into boxing. What made you stay in school?
Well, my mother was a functional drug addict, because back before, my mother didn't do crack. She sniffed coke.
Okay.
So she wasn't like all my cousins and all my family members was on crack. Before crack was freebasing. Remember, like in 83, 84, it's called freebasing. When 85 came, crack came, forget about it. They was doing the Janet Jackson control dance and taking all your TVs. But,
that's what they did, yeah.
right. You know what I'm saying? So my mother was functional. She was a good woman. She was a good provider, but she just got lost. So this is how I stayed in the line of doing the right thing. Right. I always had this vision that I was always going to be somebody. That was first and foremost. I always believed that I was going to be big. I didn't know what I was going to be big, what I was going to be doing, but I knew I was going to be doing something. Then I had two friends. I had 3 friends that I grew up that had two-parent household. My childhood friend Craig, from 4th grade until now present, he had a mother and a father and a sister, and they had a 2-parent household. So he gave me hope. His mother used to give me structure. I used to stay over there all the time. Nobody knew what's going on in my house, because you don't talk about that.
Talk about it, yeah.
Right. You just go back home like you're supposed to before the lights get out, before street lights cut out, so you don't get your butt whipped. But as I got older, then I was in the streets all the time. But then when I was in high school, I had 2 friends. I had a friend named Brian Backus. He had a mother and a father, and they was, good people. And then I had another friend, Arthur Dennis. He had a mother and a father, and they was really good people. So those are the people that I leaned on, you know. So I had a support system in them more so than at home. So that's how I really kind of stayed the course. I stayed the course because of the support. Because they I used to go over there, they used to let me in the house. They used to feed me. They used to, I used to spend the night over there, and it was good, and it was escape away from the streets and escape away from home. And in 1986, I was in a major car accident, and I was in a coma for a month. And I had 100 stitches in my ear. I had a punctured lung. I had broken ribs. I had a hole in my chest. I put certain tubes, and some stranger pulled me out the car. My cousin was driving drunk, and he hit a drunk driver in Far Rockaway, New York, Queens. And the guy didn't know if the car was going to blow up. So some guy had the angel. He pulled me out the car, and they didn't know if the car was going to blow up, but he just disappeared. And nobody could never find the guy again. But my cousin calls my mother and said, "Uncle Purcell, I just killed Monte," and hung up the phone. So nobody knows where I am. They just know that I'm in a car accident. So I survived that. I survived some. That was really like a life changing event because I went from weighing 200 pounds to 160 something pounds because for a month I was just, I wasn't eating. So, my thing is that I think God had a calling over my life, you know, and I've always been the type of person that always believed that there is something better for me, even here in Colombia.
You have survived a lot, right? And you are proof that it is important that we provide for children as a community, right? Because I had the same experience too. My friend Marie, her mom and dad, Mr. and Mr. Shirley, they are amazing. They took me and I used to stay the night at their house and eat. Like they had lamb. Like I used to eat food at their house. But
Right.
a community is important. It is important that the children that are around us are surrounded with love and encouraging them to continue to go to school and give them hope. That's who gave you hope. It was your community. And I think that is priceless. And I love them just because the way that they loved you. And that's the example that we have to be for our children in our community. Reach out and love on them even when they're going through some things and they're considered bad. Always say there's a reason why children are considered bad. Something. You got to talk to them to find out what's going on
Yeah.
and why they have the behavior problems because it's not necessarily that they're just wilding out. Something
Mhm.
has happened that has got them on this path.
Yeah, life is a little bit more different now because with this generation, it's a little harder for me because I just feel like with the kids, they don't have they're not connected to reality. Everything is social media. Everything is so many ways. It's like 100 ways to call my kids. They text me for Father's Day. They FaceTime. They messaging me like just pick up the phone and hi Dad, how are you doing? They got so many ways of, and I think they lost the part about connecting.
I don't
And
give them a choice.
I think a lot of us have even with our phones. Like I see myself or my wife, we be eating and we got the phone in our hand. Like we just like so disconnected from ourselves because we're trying to stay connected to everything else that's not important. And it's very important to check up on people. Before I moved here, I used to go to CBC Community Baptist Church, and we had a thing called Men's Empowerment, and that was one of the best tools that I had because every Saturday at 9 o'clock, it started with 10 men. And when I left before COVID happened, it was around 75 men. They used to just come and we used to talk. The pastor would talk to us and we do group sessions and we hug each other, we shake hands, and we support each other because as men, we were taught to mind our business and stay in our lane. You women, you come together, you form a Me Too movement, you form movements. Y'all got a different vibe you know, like y'all stick together. You could like my wife and me and you could fall out. You and my wife used to be friends 20 years later. Hey, what's up, girl? You know what I'm saying? But that's how it is. And men will be in the back lane, don't know what's going on. So it's very important for men. It's just a lot of men dealing out there with abuse. I believe there's a lot of athletes that's been physically, emotionally, and mentally abused. And they probably have suppressed it, or they probably just don't have the courage to talk about it. because their life, they're on top of the world. You know, why do that?
I agree with you. At the bottom of the screen, www.onein6.org is running across. That is
Mhm.
an amazing organization for men. Statistically, 1 in 6 men have been abused sexually, right? I
Right,
think it's higher because people don't tell, period. Men don't tell. So I
right,
believe that it's more than 1 in 6, but that is a great resource for men. And I
right.
think it's important. You mentioned church. One thing we have in common is that we're both members of Agape Worship Center in Columbia, South Carolina. So shout out to Bishop Collins, who is
Yes,
absolutely
he's the man.
amazing. How
Yes.
has your faith helped you as a survivor?
Well, the funny thing is about faith is that in 2004 I went to Africa on a revival, spiritual revival, and it kind of changed my whole perspective about our society as far as the way we worship, and it just built my faith to have a stronger character. Like, I didn't know what faith was when it was just a word when I was younger.
Yeah.
I didn't really start exercising my faith until I was in my mid 30s. I mean, that's kind of deep. When you think about it, 35, 36, 37. When I met my wife, I started learning a little bit about repenting, about forgiving, about faith, because I knew it, but I wasn't introduced to it. You speak the word, but I wasn't the word. So every day, I'm encouraged to walk by faith and not by sight. Every day, I know that I believe God has this amazing plans for me. I feel like I'm one of His favorite children, and if you don't feel like that, you're in the wrong
I am
place.
too.
Like, and I'm like, yeah, I'm God's favorite. Like, look what He's doing. He's making a masterpiece of me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's not. And people say, oh, you're somebody say, oh, you're being a little arrogant. No, if you don't have a filled relationship and you don't feel like God is like you're the one of the favorite children of His, then you're in a wrong relationship. You better find somebody else or get a deeper connection. And I also feel like the faith aspect is so hard to embrace, but every day it's a work in progress, right? So when we see something, it is what we see. Who said it's not anything different? But we have to learn to live in it now. I can't, I can't undo the past. I can't get to my future. But the most important thing that's going on is right now. I'm over here talking, but I'm not talking about here.
Yes,
Yeah, this pastor's always say, I'm over here talking, but I ain't talking about here. And I was like, all right, but yeah, but no, but it's true. But so my faith is being developed every day in different parts of my life.
I think our faith get tested. So I grew up in the church. My mom is a minister, right? Minister Dunn, she's a minister.
Yeah, she is.
And I always heard about faith, right? But until you're older as an adult, and when you start exercising it and really trying to believe in those things that are not seen, it makes more sense.
Right,
You don't understand it until you really get a relationship with God and learning more about yourself and start
right.
healing. When
Hmm.
you start healing and being transparent and coming forward and talking about the hurts and the pains that you
Right,
have, your faith changed, how you view life changed. I live into today. I want to be the best, amazing Vanessa that I can today, right?
hmm.
I don't worry about my past. And so I absolutely love what you said. And our faith help us get through this to a whole nother level. Our relationship with God helps us.
It absolutely does. I mean, I started 8 years ago when I retired in 2014. I think of April. I fought those teas. I got stopped. I still was getting offered good money, but I was like, you know what? I got a daughter on the way. My wife, we just found out we was pregnant. I was like, I want to be able to hear. I want to be here to be able to, have a great relationship with my daughter and have be in one piece. So I was just on this journey. I said, my wife, she kind of, already poured into me when I met her, how to repent, confess, forgive, blah, blah, blah. So I just started meditating and praying every day for until today. And what happened was doing that walk, that faith walk, because it was a faith walk. I basically, used to wake up every morning and spend 30 minutes to an hour just praying and meditating, reading scriptures and reading blogs. And I did that. And then at some point, I started falling off, because, you get used to the routine. And then you're not being effective because, you're just reading the word and you're being you're being a hypocrite, you know, and so your faith get challenged, and then you start saying, "What am I doing?" And the only person you can point at is yourself, because the only person who can make a difference on you changing your life is you first, and your relationship with God, right? So then faith is such a tricky thing for me because I know that I'm nothing without it. I'm nothing without God. It's hard. It's hard for me to grasp even not being in a space where I'm sharing personal space with Christ. Because if I'm not, I feel like it's 24 hours in a day. What is 1 hour going to do? And that's still nothing. I got 23 hours left. That's why I try to manifest it. I pray on a daily basis, 4, 5, 6 times. Sometimes I just go for 5, 10 minutes telling God I love him. I love you, God. I love you, Jesus. I love you. I love you. And to myself. Sometimes I say it out loud, but I'm just saying I owe that much to him to give him that time in a personal relationship. And I tell anybody, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And this world is here for us to it's to devour into our flesh, into our the things we want and the things we think we need. But the true thing we really need is Christ Jesus. And the true thing we really need to walk on is our faith and not by sight. Because trust me, it could be gone in 1 second. It could be over.
I love it. And that's what sustains you.
Yes.
Because when we hear your story, and we haven't even really heard all of your story, right? We just heard a portion of your story and how you survived just growing up in New York. Like you have one of those stories that could be a movie. And it's your faith that keeps you moving. It's your relationship with God. And I think it's important for us to share how we heal and some of the things that we do to get to the next level. And so I thank you for sharing that and actually being so transparent.
Thank you. I really appreciate you for having me. I mean, you're like a part of the family. Well, we are like family because your mother has really poured into Gabby over the summer, and we are like family now. And I appreciate you for having me on your platform, and hopefully we can have help somebody to identify with this, or give somebody some courage or strength to say, you know what, there is life afterwards, and and hold on to their faith and build a relationship with Christ.
Indeed, indeed. And that's my goal is always to help others. At the bottom of the screen is scrolling comfortingthestorm.org. That
Mhm.
is an amazing organization where the parents are Richard and Kathy Butler. Their children have been through molestation and the struggle, the justice system, trying to figure out how to help their children. I recommend them highly if you are dealing with anything with your children. You want more information on how to work with your children through molestation. Comfortingthestorm.org is an amazing organization. The next one, like I said, was 1in6.org. If you are a male dealing with this, struggling with it, or just want more information, you're inquisitive, 1in6.org is an amazing website to go and get information and to get counseling. And as always, Hush No More, we provide free counseling, absolutely free if you're dealing with this, dealing with any of the hush topics. We're here to support you because it is important that we look at those in our community and help them. Janet said, "Thank you, brother, for telling your story." She
Thank you.
also said that as an example that you gave for hope, and we are living epistles read by all men. The Bible is very important. It is important to be able to look at our faith. Hollow Art said that this is a great story. Great job by both of us. 100. So he gave us our props. My mom, Geneva, she said, "Thanks for sharing.
Hey,
She's here supporting you
what's
because
up,
it's
Miss
very
Dunn?
important." So she's here. And Freddie said, "Great story and amazing young man." I agree with him. That's my dad. So my mom and dad are here watching you too and
How you
supporting
doing?
you through this process because we know it's a big deal, and we know that a lot of people struggle with it. Before we leave, is there anything that you want to share? Any last words that you didn't get to while we were talking?
Well, when I just think about, to try not to focus so much on, and I'm working on this every day, of the hurt, but focus on the healing. How does that look for you? How does healing look for you? And if that's a good place where you want to be, then that's your new goal. And to live in the now. We can't change the past, and we can't worry about the future, but we can live in the now, which is the most important thing.
Indeed, indeed. the now and the today. How can people get in contact with you? I have it at the bottom of the screen, but how would you like them to contact you if they want to be part of Champs Camp, if they want to be work out with you, they want to be part of that?
Yeah, well, they can email me at barrettvipgroup@gmail.com, or they can send me a request on Facebook, Monte Barrett, or on Instagram, Barrett VIP, Barrett VIP Group on Instagram.
I love it. So you
So
are
I'm around. I'm around.
around. And what I love is that you're so approachable. You don't take this road of I am a champion, don't talk to me.
No,
You take the road of I am a champion. How can I make you be a champion too?
yeah. I
I
mean,
love that.
I thank you, but I always had this humble approach. Like a lot of people say, you don't exercise, who you are. But I said, it doesn't matter who I beat up. It doesn't matter what I did. What am I doing now? Who am I helping now? Okay, it's good. Yeah, I have a platform with boxing. I've done some amazing things. I helped a lot of people, but I want to be relevant now. I don't want to be relevant yesterday, the day before. I want to be able to help people now. I want to keep on going on my journey. My journey is about uh, closing the gap and helping people. And what Jesus came. He didn't come to be served. He came to serve. I'm here to serve.
You're here to serve. And you're doing that. And I applaud you. I'm humbled as well to even be able to have this conversation with you. I'm feeling like just the coolest person.
Oh wow!
Like,
Tell my wife that.
yeah, I would tell her that too. But I just always felt love from you. Like you love people, you want to help people, and I want people to really understand that. That's
Yeah.
what I get from you when I just have a conversation. You was like, "How can I help?" Oh, how
Yeah.
you can help? Like people don't ask me
We
that.
talked about this. We talked about this a long time ago. A lot of people don't like to say that. Like, you need anything? How can I help you?
Right.
They don't. They don't like to say those things. And me, and I'm like, I don't know if you ever seen The Jerk by Dean Martin.
I
You
have.
and
I
you see,
have.
like, that's the type of person I am. That's why I got to give my wife my money, because you'll be like, my private plane, one of the chairs broken. I have to write you a check. How much is it? But you tell me about a private plane and your chair broken. I'm writing you a check for the get it fixed. But all that to say is that I'm about love. I'm about helping.
Mhm.
You know.
It's all about love. You are genuine, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on the show just
Thank
to
you.
share your
Thank you.
story. And there are a lot of men and children that could be motivated by you just through your journey. And you taught me that you don't have to get up. You don't have to give up. People complain about their life. Then you hear somebody else's story, you be like, man, I need to shut up because I have not experienced nearly as much as you have. And so, what do I have to really complain about? There are people that are struggling today, that are still dealing with addiction, that are having very hard lives. And I thank God for where I am and to see what my journey is. And my journey sucked. I've had some bad things, but I had some amazing things. And I'm not where I was yesterday, and so I'm thankful for that. And you really inspire hope for me to just say, Vanessa, man, we got this. It really wasn't all that bad. You got
Right.
it. So thank you for sharing. I think that's very important.
Thank you.
So thank you. All right, you have heard from the amazing former heavyweight boxing champion Monte Barrett. He's also a Hall of Famer inductee. I'm so proud of him. He has been amazing. One of the things that I'm taking away from this is that children are really being abused. We have to watch out for our children,
Uh,
our grandchildren, our nieces, our nephews, our cousins. Pay attention to them. Provide resources for them. When people come forward and tell you that they're being abused, don't judge them. Love them,
mhm.
support them like his aunt did. She supported him and really felt heartfelt concern and love for him when she came to disclose. It happens. 1 in 10 children are abused before the age of 18. 20% of those are before the age of 8. So we're looking at 5-year olds, 4-year olds. I have cases with 18-month-olds. So it's real. Watch out for our children. If you are a male that is dealing with this, 1in6.org is an amazing organization. You are not alone. You are not alone. And you can also reach out to Monte. He will talk to you if you just want to talk about how you can get through this. You just want another male to get another opinion, right? That is so important. And he's available. So comfortingthestorm.org is an amazing organization, and 1in6.org are also amazing organizations. And you can always reach out to hushnomore.org we are here for you. We have reached 3 years for Hush No More. It was our anniversary this year. Thank you, everyone, for the congratulations, for coming out and partying with us this weekend. We are so thankful to be part of your community and being able to support you. On April the 2nd, we have a concealed weapon permit class that will be going on. I am a firm believer that you should know how to protect yourself, self-defense. Learn how to protect yourself and learn how to carry a weapon legally if you so choose. That will be in Columbia, South Carolina. April 30th, we have an amazing event at Benedict College Football Stadium called Stump Out Crime. It's going to be a step show. We have Sub-Zero going to be on the, what is it called? The DJ. He's going to be the DJ on the Wheels of Steel. That's what we call it, the Wheels of Steel. We are going to have vendors, police organizations, resources, free food, and all different kind of things going out in our community so that you can find out what are the resources available. So if you are in Columbia, South Carolina, or in the state of South Carolina, come out on April the 30th and join us. It is going to be a great event. And then I want you to save the date. October 15th, 2022 is going to be our domestic violence walk. And we are going to be walking in different communities all around the country. You can come out with us in Columbia. If you would like to do a walk in your local community and an organization, contact me so I could help you set up an organization for domestic violence walk. We can do it together. So always reach out. We are here if you need us. We provide absolutely free counseling, and we just want to show you some love. Thank you, Monte, for joining us. It has truly been a pleasure, and I appreciate you. So peace and blessings to you, and I hope that all of you know that we are here to support you. Awareness plus knowledge equals prevention, and we will be here every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to give you more information with an amazing guest. Peace and blessings.